All right, gang, I'm finally going to do a video on the Montblanc Collection fragrances. These launched a couple of years ago in 2024. They launched with 4 fragrances. Later, they launched a 5th fragrance, which I have all 5 of those here. And now they also have a 6th fragrance that they have announced. I believe it's out and selling at various places. But I bought several of these. Actually, I bought all 4 in 2024, late 2024. I ordered Star Oud last year at a discounter. And as soon as I can get my hands on Neroli letters, I will speak about that one in future videos as well. But these are suggested retail $160 for 100 ml. This is what the bottles look like. And they come in various different styles, but they're also highly discounted, almost 50% off for, and maybe a little bit more with some of these. So you can get them and enjoy them at a discount rather than buying them full retail, which I did. I purchased 4 of them suggested retail, and of course Star Oud highly discounted. So let me know if you've already gotten your nose on these fragrances. Are you a fan of this house? It's a Swiss house known for various lots of luxury items, but they do also make a lot of fragrances, and these are kind of like a higher end collection fragrances, but they're not, let's say, something like Dior Privé, which is like 200 ml now for $450. These are 100 ml for $160, so it's a better price. And they're a little bit on the niche side, but definitely keeping the designer thing with the fragrances. Some of these do also smell like other fragrances, which I'm going to talk to you about as well while I'm talking about each of the fragrances. But let's talk a little bit about Neroli letters first. If you've gotten your nose on it, let us know how good it is. I looked it up. I couldn't find it. In fact, I saw it was out of stock at a discounter. It was selling for around $99. This Neroli letters is created by Bruno Jovanovic. I believe he's at Firmenich now. It features notes of bergamot, neroli, patchouli. Those are the 3 notes that they've credited here. So it's going to be citrusy, fresh, woody, earthy, green, a little floral, of course, because it's citrus floral notes. And eventually maybe it'll settle to something amber, woody in the base. So yeah, I'm looking forward to get my nose on this. This is the first floral, and I feel like since up until Neroli letters, I should say, the collection has been quite masculine leaning. And of course, now we have Neroli letters, which is a floral, citrus floral, fresh. So I think that's going to be the most unisex out of the entire collection. But let's go ahead and get started with Black Meisterstuck first. And Black Meisterstuck is this. I'm going to do this in alphabetical order. I'm also going to read to you a little bit of what's written on the Montblanc website so you kind of get an idea. This is a Jordi Fernandez creation, and currently it's selling for $81, and I've got it tagged here. Features notes of incense, Ambrofix, patchouli, amber, Akigalawood, ginger, nutmeg, vetiver. So this is a kind of fragrance. I have a friend that loves kind of smoky, incensey, woody fragrances. And when they smelled it on me, they were like, that smells so good. Where can I buy it? I really want it. I said, it's only a Montblanc fragrance. It's not that expensive. You can find it at the discounters for under $100, yada, yada. But I let them borrow the fragrance, and they really love it, but they were overspraying it. And so they said, it's not performing as great on me, which is what I'm telling you, what they mentioned. And I agree. These do act like designer fragrances. They're not super beast mode. In fact, the 2 that I really love are the longest lasting ones. Maybe the Star Oud also is a long lasting one. But for me, Black Meisterstuck sadly doesn't perform as great as the 2 that I enjoy. But in the end, it's smoky, woody, spicy. There's a bit of warmth, but it's not super warm. But I feel like I get a smoked syrupy kind of consistency, and which adds a slight sweetness, but I wouldn't say this is super sweet. It acts earthy, it acts balsamic, and I feel like that sweetness also contributes to something that creates an ambery effect in the dry down. But what it says on their website for Black Meisterstuck, the woody resin incense notes create a distinctive signature, just like the iconic Meisterstuck writing instrument. Reminiscent of black ink, this fragrance is brimming with warm spices and precious woods, inspiring memorable moments. I think it smells super, super awesome. A great scent by Jordi Fernandez. I like there's like an incense intensity here, but also woody intensity. And the woody intensity is somewhat like pencil shavings. So it's a bit reminiscent of fragrances like the incense series from Comme des Garçons, like Incense Avignon, Incense Zagorsk, Incense Jaisalmer, Kyoto, those fragrances. So there's that kind of an effect happening here with this. And but also beyond that effect, there's a slight sweetness and ambery effect, but also I'm getting like a smoked molasses, which is not super sweet, but there is some sweetness beneath it all, if that makes sense. So that is Black Meisterstuck. I really enjoyed the smell. I mean, I still prefer the other two that this is my number 3 favorite from the collection, and I'll tell you what the other two are. I do prefer those a little better for the smell, and I think if this was performing just a little bit better, I think might have actually moved up. But I think I've actually put this in the correct space, a correct spot, I should say. It's definitely right in the middle. It's my number 3 favorite, outside of what Neroli letters smells like. Now there is an actual, people think it smells like Tom Ford's Black Lacquer, but I don't know. I think they're similar ideas. I don't think they smell identical. I am going to test it out here real quickly as well. I think Black Lacquer is darker and smokier yet, and definitely the presence of lacquer. It's like a sticky, glossy, lacquered, some kind of item. This molasses thing is definitely happening here as well. But for me, I don't think the Black Lacquer is as sweet as Black Meisterstuck. But to me also, I'm not necessarily saying Black Lacquer is not sweet. I do get sweetness, more sweetness from the Black Meisterstuck, if that makes sense. But I think they're kind of similar ideas for sure. But I think if you're not smelling them side by side, you're gonna definitely think they're related. For me, I get more of a pencil shaving effect with the Black Meisterstuck, which reminds me of Comme des Garçons Incense Zagorsk, if you guys have ever smelled that one. But with the Tom Ford Black Lacquer, it's a bit more lacquered experience. So anyway, that's Black Meisterstuck. Let me know if you're a fan. I feel like Black Meisterstuck is the most popular in the collection. For me, I prefer the few others, which I'm going to get to right now. All right, the next fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is Extreme Leather, which is this. So Extreme Leather is created by Juliette Karagueuzoglou. It's currently selling for $78, which is just a little more than 50% off, I should say. Extreme Leather features notes of leather, iris or orris, ambrette seeds, cypriol, nagarmotha, musk. Those are the notes. And they don't mention violet. I do pick up violet leaves in this quite a bit. There's a juicy ozonic texture here, which they're not mentioning violet whatsoever, which also provides a fruitiness. Now, maybe it's contributed by the ambrette, or the iris is tricking my nose to smelling like violet, but it's quite juicy. It's almost like apples, that fruitiness that's in the leather accord that they've created in here. The other thing with Extreme Leather, I get muskiness on the skin, so it's a bit animalic for sure. And I felt like with the Vetiver, which I'll get to last, the Patchouli ink and the Extreme Leather are the ones that kind of have and actually the Star Oud a little bit as well, has this slight musk, like a musk that they've added to the fragrance. And even though the fragrance, the perfumers are not from the same firms, maybe they've created the intentional musk in the base, because I noticed a similar kind of musk that was creating a bit of a funk when I was testing the fragrances out. But to me, Extreme Leather is my number 2 favorite from the line. Now, people might think this might remind them of Tom Ford's Ombre Leather. I don't think it reminds me of the original Ombre Leather, and I haven't compared it to the Parfum, which the Parfum has the violet leaves in it. The Ombre Leather original, I don't think it featured it because it doesn't act ozonic, but let's quickly test both versions out against the Extreme Leather. I don't think I get animalic touches with either of the Tom Fords. To me, they don't act animalic. And come to think of it now, they're very different. The juiciness of extreme leather creates a different effect for me in comparison to the dryness of both Tom Ford Ombre leather fragrances. They're different. I mean, they're leather, that's what will remind you of them. But with the extreme leather, there's this pulpy, ozonic, juicy fruitiness that is quite prominent here. And I feel like this also, the extreme leather and also Patchouli ink are the longest lasting of the bunch that I tested. And I do enjoy extreme leather quite a bit, and it's my second favorite from the line. So those are my thoughts on extreme leather. Let me know your thoughts on this fragrance. Let me know if you've discovered this collection. Are you enjoying the fragrances? Let me know. Add a comment below. Okay, the next one is called Patchouli Ink. Patchouli Ink, to me, as soon as I smelled it, I mean, I'm a patchouli lover. You guys know this. I absolutely love patchouli fragrances. I felt like it was smoky. Then I kept wearing it and it started reminding me of another fragrance, and I'll let you know what that is. But currently it's selling for 100 ml $82. It is created by Fabrice Pellegrin over at DSM Firmenich, and it features notes of ink, patchouli, bergamot, woody ambery notes, iris or orris, vanillin, coriander, jasmine, musk, vanilla. So those are the notes that they've listed for this. It's my favorite of the bunch. Goes to show that I'm a fan of patchouli, but this is a patchouli unlike others. It somewhat goes into the territory of acting a bit chocolatey, but there's a lot of smoke in here, or smokiness, almost to the point of acting a bit charred that throws you off, and it's not acting like it. As I was wearing this, it started reminding me of another fragrance, Patchouli 24. Now, Patchouli 24 is a different kind of patchouli from Le Labo, but because it's got like birch tar, so it's quite smoky. I mean, they're not identical, but that smokiness that I'm getting from Patchouli Ink reminds me of the extreme smokiness that is in Patchouli 24 from Le Labo. And the other thing is, I want to throw out Memoirs of a Trespasser from the House of Imaginary Authors, which kind of reminds me of Patchouli 24, but in a more vanillic direction. Let's compare that as well, because to me, texturally, these three fragrances, including the Patchouli Ink, act the same. Kind of resinous, like almost like dough, but a patchouli dough or a smoky dough, and that texture is quite prominent. For me, the Memoirs of a Trespasser is the most vanillic out of them. Perhaps it might have a little bit of patchouli in it, but this is very amber resinous. And the other two fragrances are amber resinous as well, for sure. Lots of resins, but they'll remind you of one another away from each other, but they're acting quite different side by side. The Patchouli 24 is so super amped up with the birch, which smells like barbecue almost, which, you know, even though I'm getting that kind of smokiness, the patchouli is quite prominent with Patchouli Ink. And I love that about it. It's super, super sexy. And it's Fabrice Pellegrin. He also did Patchouli Mania for the House of Essential Parfums, another fragrance featuring patchouli. But to me, I feel like Patchouli Mania from Essential Parfums is a bit more of a straightforward style of patchouli. The Patchouli Ink acts a bit different and a unique kind of patchouli. But it's quite good. It's really great. It's long lasting, and on clothes, it's so long lasting actually. I could smell it the next day, the next night on clothes, and I'm like, wow, that does have great lingering power. But sadly, Black Meisterstuck disappeared quite fast. But either way, I didn't read, did I read the Montblanc write-up? It's the timeless dark notes of patchouli recall the perpetuity of ink on paper. The spirit of this key ingredient is rounded by white musk and vanilla to create an aroma with resonance. So that's Patchouli Ink, my favorite of the bunch. So next up, we've got Star Oud. It's my fourth favorite of the bunch. And this is the one that launched after the initial four dropped. And when they dropped, I was so curious about this collection. I sampled these at Selfridges in 2024 when I was in London for the launch of 54. And Star Oud hadn't launched yet, but Star Oud is currently selling for $80 for 100 ml. That's exactly 50% off of the $160 retail price. It's created by Gael Montero, and it features notes of oud or agarwood, cardamom, cinnamon, and sandalwood. Now, this fragrance instantly reminds me of something that Alessandro Gottieri might have created for the house of Nasomato or Orto Parisi. Even more a fragrance like Black Afghano. It reminds me of it. But I feel like this Star Oud is not as dark. It's also a bit warm or spicy and not as smoky. But then again, it reminds me quite a bit of Black Afghano. So I like it. But for me personally, I mean, you've heard the story many times. I went to Barney's to buy a bottle of this in 2012 and I smelled Portrait of a Lady at the same time. But I only bought the one, you know, the Black Afghano, and then went back and bought the Portrait of a Lady like 2 weeks later. But I'm kind of bored of this DNA personally. When you smell the Star Oud, oh, they're very close. Very close, but not identical. There is a little bit of a nutty texture I get from Black Afghano that I don't get from Star Oud. I think it's the Oud that's in the Black Afghano. But when you smell the Star Oud, you're instantly reminded of amber woods. There's a lot of it in here. And the last time I spoke about a Alessandro Gottieri fragrance was Resvilium from Orto Parisi. And just like Megamare, Resvilium had this overdose of amber woods, and it's like so prominent. It stands out so much. And so Star Oud does that kind of a thing for me as well. Even though you've got those warm notes and spices and the oud, of course, it has an overdose of Alessandro Gottieri style amber woods in the base, which are quite noticeable. I wouldn't say this is a bad fragrance. I think it's done quite nicely. I'm just kind of bored of this kind of fragrance personally, so I'm ranking it a bit lower. Check that out. It's Star Oud from the house of Montblanc, created by Gael Montero, 100 ml for $80 currently. And last but not least, it's the dud in the collection. It's Vetiver Glacier, I should say. And this is a Nathalie Lorson creation, which I'm a big fan of Nathalie Lorson. I don't know what she was doing with this one. It's quite disappointing to me. It's also the lowest price at $74 for 100 ml. I do have to say these bottles are quite nice. And they do have that nice cap. They're pretty heavy duty, but it's nice you can hold them. They're not too big where you can't, you know, hold them. This is 100 ml for $74. Original price, or the suggested retail price, is 100 ml for $160. And it features notes of vetiver, sandalwood, cedarwood, juniper berries, styrax, ginger, musk, nutmeg, and also apparently there's an ice cube effect in this fragrance. That's why it's called Vetiver Glacier. So as soon as you probably see that it's Nathalie Lorson, maybe you're going to think that it's similar to Encre Noire, either the original or maybe the a l'Extrême. To me, they're nothing alike. I almost feel like this is also overdosed with a lot of amber woods, and it takes a Middle Eastern side trip. It's got a bit of a Middle Eastern edge to it. It's a bit harsh, and also, as I was saying earlier, it's got that musk in there. On skin, it gets a bit musky, but nothing at all similar to Encre Noire. At least to me, it isn't. It's covered up in a way. Let's quickly smell Encre Noire à l'Extrême. Oh, so much nicer. Yeah, the Vetiver Glacier, I mean, I don't get the ice effect, or maybe it's kind of tricking my nose to not act like the ice effect or the ice cube effect, but it's covered up in something amber woody, and also it acts a bit Middle Eastern. And not that there's anything wrong with Middle Eastern fragrances. This is not my style, so it is ranked pretty low, unfortunately. But what they said about this fragrance, the fusing vetiver and the sparkling majesty of sandalwood evoke the glistening peaks of the Mont Blanc mountain. This combination of notes is enlivened by modern white musks and smoky cedarwood. I think eventually it does start showing, the vetiver starts showing its face to maybe remind you a little bit more of something like Encre Noire, but to me, they're night and day different. They're not identical. I personally think you should stick with the original Encre Noire. I think they're masterpieces, the original and the flanker. But maybe you have some money and you want to try this. Try it. Maybe you might like it more than I did. But those are the 5 fragrances that I have from Montblanc. And once again, my number 1 favorite is Patchouli Ink. It's a given. I like it. I like the reminder of Patchouli 24, but it's not as polarizing as Patchouli 24 or barbecued smoky as Patchouli 24. But there is that smokiness in there, which I quite like. And it makes the fragrance a bit more unique. I don't have a patchouli fragrance like this. I love patchouli and I have so many, and I don't have a patchouli fragrance like this. So it's actually enjoyable to wear. It's the one that I've worn the most. I enjoy that one. My number 2 is Extreme Leather. And I like this because of that ozonic violet leaves like accord or note in there. And they don't mention violet leaves or violets. I think they have it featured in there because I can, smell it quite prominently. So it makes the fragrance a bit juicy, fruity, and watery, ozonic, as I said. So that's my number 2 favorite. And then I have to include Black Meisterstuck as my third because I think it's nicely done. For me, it's a wimp compared to the others. And I'm not saying the others are super beast mode, but Black Meisterstuck disappears faster than the other two, whereas the other two are much longer lasting. The same thing also goes with the projection. This doesn't project as much, whereas the other two do. But number 3 is Black Meisterstuck. And as I said, I do have these tagged if you're in the market for them. Let me know. Let me know you've got your nose on these, if you enjoy them. Did you get them at great deals? They are discounted, so don't pay full retail and get them at the discounts. But let me know your thoughts. Add a comment below. And if you've also gotten your nose on Neroli letters, do let me know on that as well. Is it worth picking up or wait for the discount? Anyway, see you guys later. But before I forget, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you haven't yet, click that bell icon and also give a thumbs up for this video so that it'll help with the algorithm. Now, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.